Hello there. Today we're looking at the Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 5.
Is it? I'm very confused. I thought this was the Mandalorian.
Yeah, so we open in a Clatunian butchery. Like, immediately you were like, oh, this looks majorly different.
Yeah, I was thinking like Texas Chainsaw Massacre style with all the ugly aliens and meat.
Yeah, definitely very underworld. There's no mopeds down here. So we see Mando and his spear. It's like so impractical. So then he says the line,
I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold.
a fight ensues. And the first guy to hit Mando is Mando.
Stop hitting yourself! Stop hitting yourself!
So then we take a shot outside and we get the rings from Halo. So that's where we are. We're on the Halo rings this week. And then we get an awkward elevator scene directly from Spider-Man 2.
Looks uncomfortable.
It gets kind of itchy.
And so then we see Mando talking to the bounty person, and they essentially give him some credits and tell him where to go. He then finds the Mandalorians, and we see the armorer again, which is awesome.
Yeah, the armor seems like a cool person.
Yeah, she's the coolest character. Awesome to see. So he whips out the Darksaber, which is a big deal for Vizsla. You can immediately see all this tension in the mask.
And Mando just casually goes, hold this for a second.
So the armorer starts talking about the same thing that we went through in Rebels, where whenever Sabine gives Bo-Katan the Darksaber, it's kind of that thing of like, well, you can't just give the Darksaber. The Darksaber has to be won in combat. So it makes me kind of think, is this going to be kind of like an Elder Wand type deal, where actually the Darksaber still belongs to Sabine?
Could be.
So it might be a treasure hunt for Sabine, which could be awesome. Could link into the Ahsoka series, etc.
That would be really cool.
And then we get a big hint at the Mythosaur. So I feel like this stuff it's coming up too much that it's not going to not show up. So I think there is going to be something there. And then we finally see it, the Night of 1,000 Tears, the Emperor carpet bombing the Mandalorian dome that we see throughout the Clone Wars, and I think we see a bit of it in Rebels.
It does live up to its name. It looks like there would have been 1,000 tears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least 12.
At least 12.
Yeah, so they Terminator 2 style all of the Mandalorians. So then there is a nice moment where we get to see kind of why Jedi and Mandalorian don't get on. Just fundamentally, the creed is the opposite of the Jedi way, the Jedi warning off attachment. But that's the same thing as well. We don't know, is Luke's order the same way, you know? Like, Luke's got his own attachments. He's attached to Leia, he's attached to to Han.
Might I add, coming into meeting the whole Mandalorians and such, I was getting major episode 5 vibes with Luke and Darth Vader. With the whole steps and him climbing down.
Yeah, the Cloud City. So yeah, and then he requests the spear be made into armor, and for a bit of it to be forged for Grogu. And we don't get to see what it is. It's in a wee pouch.
It looks very cute.
Yeah. It's like, will it be a lightsaber hilt? Or chainmail? Or perhaps nipple piercings?
It could be nipple piercings. Or tiny little nunchucks.
So then we see a bit of training happening between the armorer and Din.
Mando could definitely teach Boba how to use a jetpack here.
100%.
Yeah.
And covering it in Beskar is the way to go, so you don't get accidentally taken out by a blind guy.
Yeah, Boba definitely needs some jetpack training.
Oh yeah. And like, Mando fights with a saber the same way I punch in dreams. So
I've seen that. It's terrifying.
so weak. So we get this duel with Paz Vizsla. Mando wins. This kind of resolves that who should be in charge there, because at the end of the day, it's Paz's ancestor who made it. It's Paz's ancestor who was the leader of Death Watch and was the wielder of it before it became Darth Maul's. So yeah, so then we find out that the only way for Mando to rejoin his coven is to be redeemed in the living waters below the mines of Mandalore, but they've all been destroyed. So he's screwed.
Yeah, like how is he meant to do that?
Yeah, so...
How am I meant to do that? Exactly.
But then we get this scene that's kind of, by all means, should be a really, really silly scene. So he's getting aboard a coach.
We meet the Karen of all droids.
Yeah. Yeah, so the droid tells him that basically you can't get onto a ship with that amount of weapons, so check them all in. He says it's part of my religion, and then immediately just puts them all into baggage. A silly scene, but this shows who Mando really is, and how his culture is, and how it needs to change to succeed. It's like, to get where he needs to go, he becomes pragmatic, he changes, we see it again in Mandalorian Season 2, whenever he takes off his helmet to find Grogu. You know, if there's an obstacle there, he'll adapt to get to the next level, and that becoming pragmatic is probably how he's going to end up uniting the Mandalorians in some way. So then we swap back to Pelimato, chasing around a big rat.
Which it did seem to attack one of her very cute tiny droids, so
Yes.
I'd be pissed too.
Oh yeah, we get a BD droid, which is awesome because that's from Jedi Fallen Order and ended up being the goodest boy.
The goodest boy.
Yeah, so we get introduced to this new ship, and it is a N1 Naboo starfighter, which is awesome. It's really cool to see. It's kind of like this nice little throwback. It's a nice look back to Episode 1, which, like, it has a big place in my heart. We see
all of the nostalgia.
Yeah, and then we get a montage of rebuilding the ship,
Mm-hmm.
and we get BD. It's like,
Yeah, so BD acting as the torch, but it's whenever Mando, it's like whenever you're holding the torch for your dad and your dad's trying not to get angry at you. He's trying not to get angry at you, but you're just not holding that torch right. And that's what BD is doing here to Mando. Mando's trying not to get angry, but you can feel the frustration in him.
And then we get the answer to a 45-year-old question. What is this big stick that is used to try to brace the walls in the trash compactor? Well, it's now known as a cryogenic density combustion booster.
Otherwise known as a stick.
So the next thing was the problem with the Book of Boba Fett so far. I mean, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed watching it. I've got my kicks out of like bits and pieces of it. But the real annoying thing of it was that Pelimato summarized the first 4 episodes in 5 seconds. And it's that thing of like, right, okay, so the Pikes have always been the major bad guys in Tatooine. Then why did we have to go through all of these motions just to get to where it is? It should be, we should have, it's very much a tell, don't show. Like, we should have some sort of example of why everyone's afraid of the Pikes and stuff like that. I mean, you can argue it in your own head and you can create up your own kind of like, well, obviously it's because they're in charge of all the spice, they're majorly rich, they're doing all these things. But really all they needed was a character just to kind of summarize that. Yeah. And you didn't need the first 4 episodes. The first 4 episodes could have just been developing Boba as a character, because the side bits of the first 4 episodes were the more interesting bits.
I feel like there's been a load of red herring bad guys being thrown in for good measure.
So then we get the ship repaired, and it looks pretty cool. Again, that kind of gearhead kind of culture of Mos Espa, Mos Eisley. And Mando takes for a drive, and again we get that the whole kind of Bounty pod race vibes. We get to see Beggar's Canyon and kind of just that whole course, which is awesome.
Now this is pod racing.
It's really, really cool to see.
Yep. Again, so much nostalgia.
Yeah, so much nostalgia. And then he flies a little bit too close to a commercial flight and gets pulled over by one of the pilots from the end of Mandalorian Season 2. So the whole point of this was to show, right, okay, here's the difference between what the Razor Crest could do and what his new ship can do. And it was essentially, if he pulls off this move and he doesn't end up in a pit of spiders, then he's doing well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, he flies down, gets out, and says,
"This is so
Wizard, I am totally bringing this back."
Yeah. And Fennec shows up.
Parkour! Michael, parkour!
And says that she needs his help. And he says, sweet, I'll do it for free, but I gotta go see Grogu.
I am so excited by this.
Yeah, I mean, so awesome, but at the same time, we've got 2 episodes left of Boba Fett, and
it's completely done a U-turn in its whole plot.
yeah, it's just like took a left field, and the thing is as well, Filoni's co-written the next episode, which leads me to believe that there's a lot of Jedi stuff going to be in it, which is great. I'm happy to see it, but
Maybe
again,
Luke.
yeah, well, maybe Luke, maybe
Possibly
Ahsoka, probably Luke and Grogu, which would be cool.
Makes me excited.
Yeah, but it's not Boba Fett.
It's
so,
the Book of Boba Fett,
you know.
featuring the Mandalorian.
But, well, I mean, as long as it's fun, I don't really care, but, you know, it's kind of a bit weird. Well, that's about all we've got time for this episode. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if we earned it, and we'll see you all next time. Bye!
Bye!